Owners and operators. I am your host, Christene Marie. I am the co-founder of Foundation First Marketing along with my wonderful co-founder, Leandra. And I am also the founder of The Craft and Calling, which is a community fresh and newly started for men and women in the trades. And y'all, this conversation tonight is actually the first of our series regarding how to transfer a family painting business down to the next generation. And so this topic is very near and dear to my heart because actually, a bit of context, my family has owned a painting business on the East Coast since 1922. And my great-grandfather started this business. I have been in the trades, going to job sites as a little girl, and most recently got involved with my dad as a partner in 2021. And this question is one that is really, really important for us to look at because there's a lot that comes with it. There's a lot of honestly, there's a lot of emotion that comes with a family business, any kind of family brand, any kind of family legacy. There's a passing down and a passing of a baton, so to say. And so when we think about how to do this, there's something around the very first initial steps that really, really matter. And so when we take into account who the people are and what the business is, yes, a painting family business, sure. But what the family is and what the painting business is in and of themselves that we need to take into account. So I want to first talk about who the individuals are. In the case of my family business, as we're talking and moving in the direction of passing it down generation by generation, my dad, my brother, and I have been involved. And my mom is an active participant in the business, and same with my other brother. So I'm one of 6 kids, and God bless my dad. So many days I remember he would just come home and lay down in the middle of the floor and take like a power nap and then come to dinner with the 6 of us kids. And it was wild how present he was. And it was this moment of taking the 20 to 30 minute nap in between the transition from afternoon to evening that allowed for him to really be so present with his family and allow for the meaning and the moments to be cultivated because of his choices every single day to take that 20 to 30 minute rest time. And so when you look at who are the current players of this transition and of this legacy being handed down, it's not just who are they today, but what's the foundation of the family? What are the values of the family? What has been built? What are the bones and structure of the family tree and family house that you have to stand on? Because when the going gets tough, and it will, what is the foundation? So this underlying question of what's the foundation ends up being one that's a through line as we examine who are the people involved, what's the family, and then what's the business in and of itself. So as we analyze these 3 points in question, the family, the people, and the business itself, the question of what is the foundation of each entity is so important for examination. Because if we don't go to the past and examine the roots and examine the foundation to begin with, we're going to be missing so much context that's necessary for understanding the present moment as we're interacting, as we're all sitting around the boardroom, as we're sitting around the table having these conversations. Just today, I was meeting with another expert in the trade space, and he mentioned he hasn't talked to his dad in 4 years. So then the question for you and I becomes, well, what do we want at the end of this? When we're talking passing down generations and as we're talking about passing down legacies, why are we doing it? And what is the intended outcome? Is the intended outcome to keep the business afloat? Is it to keep the family brand? Is it to continue to grow and scale? Is it to, in this generation, we want to sell? Do we want to exit? Us having so much clarity around the past, what's the foundation that all of this is built on? What is the present nuance and working relationship and the current state of affairs in the people, the family, and the business? But then also, what do we want? What do we want our future relationship to look like? So we need to take these 3 entities, the people involved, the family at large, and the business. We need to take these entities and look past, present, and future. What do we want for each one of these? Because y'all, if we don't have clarity around the direction we're headed, what are our targets of success? it's going to be so easy to get distracted, and we're going to have other people weighing in and giving us well-intended advice. But man, we have to know what we want on the relationship side, the family side, and the business side. And more often than not, something is going to have to compromise. And so there have been points where my brother and I, along with my dad, and then involving my brother's wife, she served as our bookkeeper for a time, and then my mom, who was very involved at certain points. Man, it's like there's so many people, there's so much family dynamic, and based on the history and the foundation of the interpersonal relationships, one-to-one, right? So that's where the people, what's the relationship like between my dad and brother? What's the relationship like between my brother and I? What's the relationship between my dad and I? And now we've got all these dimensional layers. It's like when you look at an onion and you have to peel back the layer after layer after layer. There's so much here that we need to analyze and consider when it comes to a well-oiled and well-functioning, not just business, but family. So when we're talking foundation first, we're looking at, okay, let's look at the root and the core and the very baseline of the house and the baseline of the family and the relationship. Because apart from that, we're going to be topical and we're going to be staying up here. So when we're looking at any one of these three entities, we have to be looking at the very core, at the very foundation. And how is that foundation manifesting in today? Where do we maybe need to strengthen communication so that we can have those really important conversations about the future? Because until we understand what's going on in the present, how the past has impacted it, and then, only then, can we have communication in an intentional way that really drives impact about the future and where we're heading. So, how to transfer a family painting business into the next generation. Analyze all three entities. What are the people involved in terms of the relationship individually? The family themselves, construct, that's the second entity. And then the third, the business, the health of the business. And we're going to be diving deeper into each one of these pieces in the next couple of days here. But the next layer for each entity, then we have to analyze what's the past foundation? What are we built on? How does that show up today in the present moment? And then where do we want to go? And we need to ask all three of those questions for every single entity. And then we have to prioritize our answer for what's most important. Is the individual relationship most important? Is the family nucleus most important? Or is the business? Again, to the example of that gentleman who, hasn't talked to his dad for 4 years. He was actually able to help his family 10x their sale of an 80-year-old family business. So woohoo, they got 10x return on what initially they thought was going to be a very, very low sum. I believe it was at the end of the day, man, they got millions and millions and millions more than they anticipated. So yes, they won out on the business, but not the relationship. And so when we talk about how to do the transfer, again, we'll get more in detail over the next couple of days. But these three really deeper questions is maybe there's 9 here, past, present, and future for each one of these three entities. We have to be taking that into consideration because there's a lot at stake when it comes to doing business with family. And it's worth it so long as we go in with intentionality and with clarity that we have to start at the foundation. And then we can move into other parts, but the foundation is the first piece for every single one of these entities. And that's the one of the core reasons why we call this business foundation first to begin with. So with that, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I aim to keep these conversations to 10 minutes or less. They're quick daily conversations, but frankly, I welcome feedback, conversation with you. Y'all, this is important. This is important. The conversations that we're going to have here on Foundation First and also the Craft and Calling, these are important conversations to have around how to do family business together, whether you're in the trades or not. So with that, thank you all so much for joining me. I will see you tomorrow on Foundation First and the Craft and Calling, and we'll continue the conversation at that time. Good night.